Morning, Bill Griffith here, and we're back on our Seascape again. This is video 3, and today we'll put in some details and a little more wave action and kind of get it to a point that reflects what we want it to show. And again, you'll probably say, well, where's all the details? Well, we're learning, and this is a slow process, and really I just wanted to catch the light, the colors, and just the beauty of this seacoast. This is in Oregon, and I've got plenty of opportunities to go back and take another look, and I may take another look at this painting in the future and do some more things. So let's get started with the adventure. This is video 3 of the 3-part series. Okay, today I'm going to start working on more details to the rocks and to the water. And the first thing I want to do is go back in and outline them a little better, based again on the picture that we had before. And basically all I'm going to be doing is getting a little more details into the cracks and crevices and everything else that makes up these rocks. Makes them interesting. They do have sharp edges on some of this, so I need to make sure that's reflected. And there'll be little cracks and crevices, this type of thing. It is a beach, so it's getting a lot of weather and impact of storms and that kind of thing. And again, I'm just using burnt sienna and a little bit of raw umber today, and still using the ultramarine to darken it all up. Okay, now I think I need to add a little dark tones down to the lower side that obviously is not getting very much sunlight. And in our photograph, they're pretty dark, so I'm going to kind of emphasize the dark characteristic. Again, it's primarily burnt umber, burnt sienna, and then a little bit of ultramarine blue. Okay, a little bit on the background. There are some pretty good details sitting in here. Add some interest. Now looking up close at the photograph, there's actually a little beach back in here, but it doesn't really show up in this painting. And composition-wise, I'm not sure it's important. Now, if you notice, I didn't mention, this basically is a triangle setting right in here, which is a composition factor that you need to consider. And very frequently it's intentionally added. I'll put a little light tones up here on the rocks in the forefront. Just kind of add a little, and I'll come back through and probably do a little bit more of this towards the end of the actual painting. But it kind of breaks that out of there. Now, I haven't started the water yet because I want to look at this background, and looking up close, there are some white trees showing up in here, and I haven't really decided whether I want to put them in there yet. I'm a little leery that that might add too much detail and draw the attention away from the center of this composition. These are type of, I'm sitting here kind of talking to myself, but it really, that's what you get into when you start painting, is you constantly reevaluating what you're doing and kind of discussing it in your own brain on what you think is really doing what you want to, as far as telling your story or getting the actual painting down to what you want. So I'll keep adding this to this. And in between, you've already noticed I speed up the painting process just to shorten down the video a little bit. So now I want to go through and kind of add just a few little details to the trees in the background. Again, not a lot of detail, but just enough to kind of break it out and allow people to understand that, hey, there are trees back there. And the easiest way is just kind of create treetops, kind of sticking up. And so I'll put a few of those in there and start adding a little bit different tones here and there to kind of create a pattern that resembles pine trees. Now, what am I using? Primarily yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, combination of which creates kind of a green tone. But I can add a little bit more yellow ochre and get back to the more yellow fall colors. And notice I'm not doing a whole lot of details. They're mostly suggestive in the background. All the way down through here. This is the brighter side of the mountain, so they're a little more apparent over here. Just the treetops is all I'm doing up there on the top. All the way over darker in this area. Just enough to suggest the forest back there. I think it gets lighter over on this side. Now all the way across over here, there are also pine trees. Now this little edge here is further away, so I'm not sure I want to do too much in there. I'd rather have it just fade off into the horizon. Now, if this is more realistic type painting, I could spend a whole lot of time on those trees trying to get them to actually look like pine trees and putting in bark and all kinds of stuff. But what I'm trying to do right now is primarily just emphasize colors and shapes in the background. And I don't want it to jump out too much from my painting. So I might do just a couple little trees, kind of suggest there's something back there. You can just barely see a few of these showing up in the photograph. Okay, not very many, just enough to kind of get a hint to what's back there. Now there's some nice color in that back. Almost some pink tones. So I'm going to add a little bit of color into there. Add some interest to those hills. Around towards the light, begin to show up a little more. Okay, I don't want to overdo that. So I basically got some of the colors in there that I wanted to bring out. Okay. So now I'm going to start working on the water. And again, it's primarily ultramarine blue, titanium white, and just working on the waves and the action of such. Okay, we'll start down this area here, and as you can see readily, primarily what I've got on here is phthalo blue. And I'm just trying to break up the flat pattern because there's wave actions back in here. Lots of bouncing rock off the rocks and that kind of thing. And the blue just kind of brings out the water a little bit more. Now we do have some reflection of this rock right here down in this water here. So I want to add just a little bit and kind of blend it in. I don't want to get crazy with it. Just a little bit of the brown, burnt sienna. And I'll blend it all in. And you can actually see this fairly readily in the photograph. The wave actions get darker in this area. And it's primarily the reflections from the rocks above. A little bit over here. And a little bit over here. Now the wave action is still the dominant thing in here, so some of this brown will be taken back out by the white waves. And finally, I want to add in a few little details here and there just to add some interest. One of which is the water running off the cliffs over here. And all I'm doing is this titanium white and just adding a little bit of texture to each of these areas. Adds to the dynamics of the waves. Little splashing right in here. Same over here. All of these lighter tones right in here will draw the eye over that direction, which is what I want. Even though the rocks and mountains and everything else are important, the wave action is really, because this is a seascape, is where I want the attention focused. could put in a lot of flowing water down the side of these rocks and all kinds of other details if I wanted to. I'm not sure I want to get that detail in this particular painting though. Because what it's doing for me is just basically getting the impression I'm at the Seascape. Just tempted to add in a little seagull or something up in through here, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to sign it down here. And I'll probably come back to this painting at some future date and say, hey, I need to add some things to it. But for now, I think I'm pretty well want to stop and just let it kind of sit there. And I may change it again later. That's your prerogative at any time. But I've captured the water and the mountains and the trees, and will bring back memories, and I may want to add things to it. Add a little bit at the top right here just to emphasize those few little waves that are showing up right here. And the light bouncing off of them. But I think I'm going to stop there. So if you like this video, please click like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We've got a lot of adventures ahead of us. So you have a blessed day, and we'll catch you later.